We're back for another episode of the Capes and Tights podcast right here on capesandtights.com. I'm your host, Justin Soderberg. And for this episode, episode number 81, we have Mark London, Chief Executive Officer and Chief Creative Officer of Mad Cave Studios, as well as comic book writer. His new book, Hunt, Kill, Repeat, #1, hits shelves March 1st at your local comic book shop. So make sure you let your LCS know you want that book. He's also the creator of a bunch of other titles, including Battle Cats over there at Mad Cave Studios. We talked comics, we talked Mad Cave, we talked Hunt, Kill, Repeat, and more. So check out this episode. But before you do, hit us up on social media at Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Find us there, Capes and Tights, as well as subscribe, rate, review, all that stuff. 5 stars on Apple, Spotify, and all your major podcasting platforms. But for right now, episode 81, right here with Mark London of Mad Cave Studios and writer of Hunt, Kill, Repeat at Mad Cave Studios. Enjoy, everybody. Welcome, Mark. How are you?
Good. How about you, Justin?
I'm doing, like I said, before we start recording, I'm cold, but we're getting there. It was funny. I mentioned the -22 on Sunday or Saturday. Is Sunday, it was like 20, like an opposite of like 40 degrees. It felt like a heat wave. I went outside. I'm like, wow,
my God.
Nice. 20 degrees. This is amazing. I'm going to wear my shorts, go swimming. No, I'm cold, but I'm good. I'll get through it though. I'm from Maine. I'm from New England. I can handle this, right?
Nice.
So
here in Miami, it doesn't get that cold. So
if it gets that cold, that's a problem.
We have a real problem. Yes, you're right.
This is like what's that movie? Day After Tomorrow esque stuff where they're shifting and everybody's going south and snowing in Mexico. That's when the problem would be. I've only been to Miami once. Geez, it must have been 2010-ish. So like 12, 13 years ago.
Okay.
It's nice. Okay. It's too busy for me. I'm rural Maine is where I like to be. So
yes. I get it. And besides, it's too humid here. So again.
Well, I don't know. Humidity, cold. I don't know. You can always dress up in enough layers. You can only take off so much clothing, Mark, before it gets a little bit too much.
That's the problem. Before it gets a little bit uncomfortable. Yeah, you're right.
I can throw another sweatshirt on. You can throw a jacket on. I don't know. It's only so much layers you can get off before you get in trouble walking out in public. But yeah, so we're here to talk comic books. We're here to talk a bunch of things. But sure. So Mark, what's your comic book origin story in a sense? Like what made you start reading and then potentially getting into the industry of actually working in comics? How does that go?
I grew up in the late 80s, so I was kind of like subjected to a lot of animation, a lot of movies, a lot of cool books. But I guess that it was probably the early 90s when I got a glimpse of Silver Surfer 53. And you can see that really cool character. I mean, Death to the Emperor, and I was like, "Oh my God, what is this? What is this magic right here?" So I started kind of like going through it, and again, I was hooked. And that was a time when then we got the Infinity Gauntlet saga. So again, all the kids. So you would be again. I think that I got spoiled early on because I got like all the different characters thrown into a very big crossover. So it was just amazing. And since then I just started like devouring everything from Spider-Man, from Hulk, from X-Men, and then I jumped to over DC, what they were doing, checking it out, and it was like, oh my God, this is amazing. But for some reason, also I was at the time an avid reader of Wizard magazine. So every single thing that appeared on Wizard magazine, it was pretty cool. I remember also one of my favorite series when I started just like getting a hold of comic books and why I loved them so much was The Crow by James O'Barr. And you could really just get like all that information through Wizard magazine. I mean, back in the day, we didn't have the internet or anything like that, so that was the only source of information that you can get, like all your comic book info or your comic book fix it. So I think that was that in a nutshell. I mean, it was much more, but again, those are just like some little bits of information there.
And how did you get to be lucky enough to work in the comic book industry? How did that happen?
Well, like every other average Joe, I mean, I got a full-time job, 9 to 5. Um, but I always had like this little thing inside me that I wanted to make comics, that I really wanted to write scripts. So I remember one time just nagging my wife, and I told her, "Listen, dude, this is something that I really want to do." And I kept like bugging her, bugging her, bugging her. And one day she was basically like, "Okay, are you gonna do it or what?" And I was like, "Oh, so you're giving me the go ahead? I mean, can I do it? I mean, do I have your full support?" Because again, it's a risk, like everything in life, especially shifting from a comfortable zone. I mean, from a 9 to 5, and then just like going and just submerging completely, making comics. So I got her blessing. So that was really really cool. And then I kind of wanted to start just like putting like my own scripts, hiring an artist here and there, and kind of like build like a fan website just so people can check it out. And it was like it was not going to supposed to be anything like what we have now. Um, but eventually, like I started meeting, I guess, like well-minded people that they were just like so invested in everything that I was doing, and they were like, "Oh my God, I think that you have a shot here because again, everything that you bring into the table sounds cool." So it started growing and growing and growing, and before we knew it, I mean, we did have a publisher, but it was a publisher in the sense that I was writing all the books at first, and I was kind of like launching Mad Cave Studios. Why? Because I also knew that we didn't have like the full scope of things. So I didn't want to bring like anybody or represent anybody's work before we actually knew what we were doing. I didn't want to take anyone's baby and kind of be like, no, you know what? I mean, I'm sorry, we screwed up. This is not going to be a case. So at least at first, you can just kind of like do your own trial and error, and if it worked, great. If it didn't, I mean, okay, no harm, no foul. It was going to be all on me. And I would be
Mhm.
just, and I would tell my wife, okay, you told me so. So, I mean, it was, I was covered there. But, but eventually, I mean, when we started growing and we had like a solid foundation of everything Mad Cave, that's when no, late 2021,
Yeah.
we started opening the doors to actually like receiving creator owned work, and started getting into licensing and all that stuff. So I think that we were in a good place to actually start taking all those responsibilities. So yes, that's how Mad Caves. I guess that's how I got into this position of
Yes.
being able to publish books.
And so, what makes Mad Cave Studios different? I mean, you mentioned this whole like it started with you, like with a single person, not a single person, but like a
Mm-hmm.
single creators
Yeah.
art or stuff. And now you're bringing on these things. What makes it different than all the other publishers? Or is there something that stands out between Mad Cave and everybody else?
Well, I think that we have a strong philosophy in terms of we like to treat others like we'd like to be treated. So I think that we are creators first company, not even after, um, because the way that Mad Cave operated also at first, I kind of like skip a point. After I was writing all these books, but I couldn't like be writing more books, although I love this so much that I hopefully would like to accept the challenge and do all those things. I mean, it wasn't humanly possible. So what we did was like we opened the doors, but it was to work for hire.
Mhm.
So a lot of the writers, they would come in, and we would basically just give them like a blueprint of what we wanted, and they would come and they would basically do their best work. And also, if they were like just starting out in comics, we do have a Mad Cave talent search every year, which is like we know how hard it is to break into this business, so
Mhm.
we give folks the chance. I mean, just to like get a little bit on their resume, and get noticed. So after that, but always when we started working with somebody else, we wanted to treat them as we wanted to be treated ourselves. So we would take care of them. We would try to just highlight their work as much as possible, being paid on time, be courteous about their work. So I like to think that how Mad Cave stands out for other publishers is that we're really, really a creators first um, comic publisher, that we really try to take care of if you're coming on board as a work for hire, or if you're bringing your own book, like everything would just be laid on the table, and everything that we have said, it would definitely be covered. It would definitely be. I mean, we are a publisher of its word for,
Yeah.
for what's up. So,
The creator's first thing is a huge thing, I think, right now in the industry. I know I have a friend of mine who was shopping his creator owned title around to a number of publishers, and it came down to a decision of like he wants to be able to control his own property and do what he wants with
mhm,
it with the backing of a publisher. And it's just, there's
mhm,
I'm not saying that to downplay any other publishers, and obviously we won't mention any, but there's definitely some times where they think people have good ideas and they want to take advantage of it and hope that they can make a bunch of money off of someone else's work. And having that creators have some control over stuff is a great thing. I honestly think it helps sell comic books in a sense that I would potentially buy a comic book from a person who treats their creators well over, someone who tries to take advantage of them, in
mhm,
my opinion.
mhm,
So that's great that Matt Cave does
mhm.
that.
I can I completely agree with you, Justin, and that's the way. I mean, I'm a big believer in yeah, what comes around goes around, and that's how you're supposed to again treat everybody. And again, Mad Cave is not after a piece of your soul. Again, I'm as a creator, I'm as a writer, I know how hard we work on this stuff. So the good thing is that I have kind of like two hats.
Mhm.
So when somebody comes to Mad Cave and they're giving you their baby, listen, I've been working on this project for 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years. We want to do it right. We wanna try to highlight your work, and hopefully, again, we feel grateful when somebody approaches Mad Cave and be like, listen, guys, I want to work with you. I get that the publishing thing is not easy. Is
Mhm.
like eating glass. Unfortunately, I mean, yes, you are in an uphill battle, especially trying to go when you go against Marvel and DC to try to get a piece of the pie, because paper does cost a lot of money.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, right now with this situation, the inflation and everything that's going on, paper costs are through the roof. So the thing is that for indie publishers, unfortunately, you do have to sell more comic books to try to be profitable, to try to even make a buck. So I get it when people have certain miscalculations, and then payments go to the back of the line. It shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be
No,
like that. I mean, we again, not Mad Cave style, and
no.
it's not what we're here to do.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. It's hard. I mean, it's one of those things that the biggest thing you see, I think, nowadays too, is there's just so many publishers as there is, and they're growing and growing and growing. But for me, I don't know if it's just the way that you promote the books or the attention you pay to every single book that you put out. Mad Cave has become this, like synonymous with the looking every week for what books are coming out or every month what books are coming out, because I don't know if it just feels like you treat the whole thing well, whether it's the marketing behind it or whatever. And it's not just, I mean, obviously it's not just Mark London's books that are being promoted
Mhm.
heavily. It's the books that are on your portfolio for say, or your series you have. I mean, I have Legacy of Violence right here behind me. That one was well
Mhm.
promoted. And I have the Don't Spit on the Wind poster hanging from me, from
Mhm.
my left right here, from
Cool.
Stefano. It just feels like,
Mhm.
sometimes you might say, oh, we're bringing new people on and we're going to do these things, but Mark London's books are the most important. It's not that way. I see it very, very well
No.
that you cross promote
Mhm.
everything, which is amazing.
Mhm. Of course, and you couldn't have said it better, Justin. I think that it's also important that when you look, when you raise the tide, I mean, it basically just raise all the ships.
Mm-hmm.
So if I try to promote my book, it's going to highlight a legacy of violence, or it's going to highlight don't spin in the wind, or it's going to highlight nature's labyrinth, or it's
Yep.
going to highlight Dally in the dark. So everything that we're doing is like you get into this ecosystem that all the people talking about either map cave or individual books, everybody kind of like puts their best foot forward, and everybody just benefits from it. So
Mm-hmm.
I try to, again, because I have so many hats within the company, I try to put my creator hat on. So you just be like, okay, I'm going to try to promote my title, but I also go and try to promote other writers' work or other creators' books, and that's really the industry that we should have. I mean, I know that a lot of people be like, oh my God, but why are you promoting this book? I mean, isn't he your competition? Yes, but we're all in this together. We're all trying to make the comic book industry better. We're trying to highlight a medium that, again, you more than anybody just know that we get bad-mouthed left and right. I mean, the comic book industry this, the comic book industry that. Come on, man. Let's put some positivity out there, and then let's try to highlight this medium that I know that there are a bunch of folks out there that really are passionate about what we do. So why go against it? Well, why bring more I don't know, negativity to the situation? Again, I'm delusional. I'm the ultimate optimist, but what the hell?
Well, I mean, I work in the beer industry. My 9 to 5. In the beer industry, I'm a graphic designer. I'm a creative director for a brewery, so I create beer labels and things like that. And you know, that's a collaborative effort. Like when you see a brewery move in down the street from you, you want them to succeed because someone likely isn't going to come to the block that you're on if there's only one of you. But if there's 2 breweries, there's a possibility someone might go get a beer at this one and then come down the street and get a beer at yours. So it grows when the entire industry grows, your brewery itself will grow. And then as it grows, the ones that aren't doing it so well, or maybe aren't making the quality products that they should be, will eventually die off on their own. Not that you're forcing them to, but they will. I mean, some of these books that you see out there, like, oh, this is cool, this is a good new publisher, and they're creating one good book, and then everything else fizzles out. That's just nature, the survival of the fittest. But it doesn't mean you can't pick them up and promote them when they need to be promoted. And I think that's a great thing. I think it's it's this Batman Spawn book that just came out between McFarlane and Image and DC. It's like they're competitors. That's a cool little thing they did between the crossover. I mean, it's obviously they did it a number of years ago too, but those kind of things. I mean, it's DC made a bunch of money off of it because DC published it, but like that's Todd McFarlane's creation at Image. So it's a weird, thing. And I don't think I'd ever see Todd do that at Marvel, but that's a completely different story.
That's a completely different story. Yeah.
But I think the collaborative effort between these things, and a lot of these people, these work for hire people. I mean, you have your colorists that are on these books and letterers. They work for a wide variety of publishers and books. So it's not like you have in-house people at Mad Cave that create these books. Obviously you have but other than that, like the people that you have penciling and coloring and inking and all that stuff, they're all work at multiple publishers. So why would they shit on other publishers if they're going to get work from them?
Exactly.
So
exactly.
It's a great thing.
I completely agree. And it just benefits the whole industry, man. And then that's what you see exactly. Like, for example, Colin Bunn, that it's the writer on Legacy of Violence. But you see that guy. I mean, I have tremendous respect for Colin because he writes a ton of books, and he writes for most publishers. So it's just like
there's certain people.
With like, what time? I have no idea. Yeah,
well, certain people like Cullen's one of them. I would think that like Chip Zdarsky's in that list. You have like James Tynion, like those guys. Like I don't know do they sleep? Do they just wake up in the morning and just write or draw? Like it's just insane. Because I just read last night for the first time Nightwalkers from Colin Bunn over at Source Point, and it was excellent. I'm like, it's not even like. It's not even like he's writing a lot of stuff and some things are slacking because of that. Like everything that these people come up with are just like top-notch stuff. And I'm like, oh, I'm jealous.
Absolutely. No. Believe me, same here. I mean, they're consistent, and that's what they're pros. And the only way that you can only get better at this is if you're consistent. If you're consistent and you're relevant and you're learning and you're constantly growing. That's what those guys are pros. And you see it in their work. So
in a sense, if someone buys, I just mentioned Nightwalkers, if someone buys Nightwalkers at Source Point and really likes Colin Bunn, they're likely going to go out there and research what else Colin has written. Excuse me. And then in that sense, they're going to buy a Mad Cave book with Legacy of Violence. They're going to buy a Vault book with a Door to Door Night by Night. So having that person, why would you not want to promote or give a, pat on the back to Cullen for writing books at
A
other
shout
places,
out. Yeah.
because in the sense it might be that someone might actually pick up Legacy of Violence because of that. So it's a
Hmm.
cool way of, like, I don't know, if you have a collaborative effort, you make better. What is it? Something oil and vinegar. I don't something mixes. I don't know the whole saying, but it's better to make something with something with something, and yeah, it makes sense. But actually, I'll tell you about marketing
Yeah.
wise. I think I have it somewhere here. Where is it? Oh, so I can't get myself to actually make the coffee because I want to keep
Oh.
it.
Hmm.
But the fact that this came in the mail, and first of all, I did not expect it to be in a tube because it was in a tube. I was like, "What is this?" But is the fact that there's
Hmm.
this is a really cool piece of stuff that goes around. Like, there's some weird, unique ways that you at Mad Cave have been promoting these things, and I also have over there somewhere on top of my capes and tights thing is the scroll or the
Yeah, yeah.
letter with from
Hmm.
from the promotion of Hunt Kill Repeat, and it's just a unique way
Hmm.
to like get the books. It sticks in my mind, and things like that. So yeah, I don't know. Like, should I even make this coffee, or should I just keep it as a memento and a collectible? I think I guess you get Stefano to sign it and just keep it.
Yeah, I think it'd just be like, I don't know, probably just gonna be worth thousands of dollars eventually.
Yeah,
So yeah,
it might get mold on it, but whatever. I so it's unique. It's just really unique. It's pretty cool. And again, I have the poster beside me. I
Good.
Stefano's artwork is tremendous. So I learned about him first when he did Jonathan Hedrick
Oh,
book,
he's
and as
uh-huh.
a space cadet, and the coffee one he did. But the I forget the name of the book now,
Mm,
but his work is just stellar. And
mm,
then when you look at him actually doing
mm,
it, I'm like, I don't even know how you do this. But Don't Spit on the
mhm,
Wind is excellent, and I cannot wait for people to read this book.
mhm,
It's a lot of fun. So I just, like I
mm.
said, the uniqueness of your marketing is pretty cool. And again, the scroll
Thank you, Justin.
were
Mm,
from Hunt
mm.
Kill Repeat from
Yeah.
Zeus is himself.
Mhm.
So you have Zeus. Does Zeus have an office at Mad Cave? Is that how that works, or?
I see him from time to time. I mean, he
Okay.
doesn't clock in. I mean, he
No,
doesn't like to be told what to do. But I mean,
he works remotely, right? He's got his Zoom
he
meetings
works
and things like
remotely.
that.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. But you know what? It's funny that you also that you mentioned the marketing, because again,
Yeah.
I think that is something also that makes Mad Cave unique, because it's something that we do pay attention to, and I think that not only if you're coming as a creator owned, or if you're promoting your own book, if you're
Yeah.
bringing your own book, or work for hire, that's what we try to do for everything, for
Mhm.
every book that we publish. So
It was really cool, and I was like, "What the heck is this thing?" And they opened it up. I'm like, "Damn! It's got its own like wax with the Mad Cave
yeah,
emblem on it, and
yeah.
yeah, that's
Hmm.
amazing." And so it's just really cool stuff that it's unique
Yeah.
and everything. Other than,
Hmm.
obviously, we're gonna talk Hunt, Kill, Repeat in a second, but other than that, and Don't Spit in the Wind, is there
Got it.
anything that you want to like just that it sticks in your mind about something that people should read from Mad Cave right now? Obviously, you should read everything from Mad Cave, but like, other than those two I just mentioned,
Hmm.
because obviously,
Hmm.
Don't Spit in the Wind's amazing, and I'll give it credit for that. And obviously, I want to talk about
Hmm.
Hunt, Kill, Repeat in a second, but anything else that's either coming out soon or just released that Mad Cave that sticks in your mind that you want to tell people about?
Hmm. Yeah, I think that people should be paying attention to A Legacy of Violence.
Mhm.
It's a maxi series. Again, every issue is just getting wilder and wilder. Same thing. I mean, Andrea Muti is one of my favorite artists out there. Colin, I mean, we already talked about him. Another very cool book that is turning a lot of heads is Nature's Labyrinth, which is basically, I mean, written by Zach Thompson. Again, wild story, survival of the fittest kind of thing. Get thrown, bunch of guys get just dumped in a wild setting, an island. I like to tease, I mean, the whole team, because it's basically a little bit Squid Game. But we had the idea before Squid Game
Big
came
game.
out, and we were like, damn it. Yeah, yeah. So that's an amazing book, and also Dali in the Dark. Dali in the
Yes.
Dark, also written by Joe Corallo. So those books, I would be paying attention to those books, and also with everything that is coming out from Mad Cave, which is yes, Hunt Cave Repeat. I know that I'm tuning my own horn, but also Don't Spit in the Wind. and John Tiffany, which is a creator-owned book by Dan Panosian. So, and oh my God, I was forgetting Exorcists Never Die,
Never Die.
which
Yeah.
is by Steve Orlando, Jason Prietz, Sebastian Prietz.
Yes.
So very, very cool books that I think that we're just like ramping up the quality and the wow factor.
I tell you right now, Sebastian, I slept on him. I will tell you right now, I spent probably 30, 40 minutes scrolling through Instagram at his artwork. I don't know how I missed the quality of artwork because I also We Ride Titans over at I think it's Vault, and he did the artwork on that, and I was just like, how did I sleep on this person? I'm like looking through this artwork, and I'm just like, I want prints of all of these for my wall. And then I read Exorcists Never Die, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. This is the same artist. And I slept on him. Yeah, so we actually have working on a review of that book from Exorcist Never Die too. And is there anything coming out with Maverick that's coming out soon? I believe I thought I had something on here.
Yes. Maverick, we have Paper Planes.
That's the one, Paper Planes.
Which is Paper Planes. I mean, such a good book. Again, Maverick, it's Mad Cave's imprint for YA content, so young adult content.
Yep.
And also this year we're coming out with something called Confetti Realms, which is going to be such an amazing story. Again, we're also trying to put out books from the Maverick line that are going to turn heads, are going to turn a lot of heads. So more on that coming soon, Justin.
Yes, I'm hoping to have something out for Paper Planes on the website at some point, probably in March. I want to get people to get it out there, because Maverick is some good stuff to actually have a Maverick. Have a Maverick bookmark.
Yeah. The bookmark. Cool. Or sticker. Yeah.
There you go. I'm going to use that in my but the main reason I want to talk to you today is Hunt, Kill, Repeat, which who did the branding on, like the logo?
The logo is done by Miguel Zapata. He's our lead designer.
Okay.
Miguel is in charge of all the trade dress. I mean, he's a wonderful team of designers that work exclusively for Mad Cave, and they're the ones that basically just like come up with all the logos and logo placement and trade dress and everything that you see in the books. So again, shout out to Miguel Zapata and his team.
That is just, I had mentioned this on the past on the podcast with other guests, is as a designer, sometimes I look at logos on comic books and trade dress on comic books, and I'm just like, what were these people thinking? Where did they, like, who let this pass multiple people? And then it hit a shelf and you go, like, I'm talking like big two. I'm talking like Marvel, DC. You see the book and you're just like, how many people do you have working for you? And that's what you came up with the graphic. And then I see a lot of these independent publishers and smaller publishers, and I'm just like, someone actually cares. And so like, that's one of those things that, like, to me as a designer and as an artist, a lot of times covers is what draws me in. And if I see, this book, Hunt, Kill, Repeat, that graphic and the word kill and the text that it's in and the yellow and all of that, just drew me in. So I was just I like to give credit to the people who do that. I will never speak on this podcast or anywhere about the ones I don't like, but I will praise the ones I do like.
No.
So. But
awesome, Justin. Again, it means a lot. It means a lot coming from you, especially for your background on graphic design, and also because you do it. So it means a lot. Unfortunately, you have no idea. Covers and logo designs are something that it would appear that is something to be so obvious, and then you miss the mark completely. And you're like, whoa, what the hell was I thinking? So yes, it's something like, again, a publisher that actually knows how they do stuff. I mean, I have to praise Vault. Vault has a tremendous design, cover design, logo design. I mean, and there's it's Tim Daniels, which is actually, I mean, he's fantastic.
Yes. And there also, you can tell the people who have people that work for them specifically that do these kind of things have departments or groups of people that do this, and the ones that don't, that let either the title or they hire in, work for hire people to do things. Like a Boom has a pretty good job at that too, but they have a team inside. It's a marketing team. you mentioned a couple of people for
Hmm.
Mad Cave that have, these people are there. And so like there's a difference between just letting someone bring their book to you and say, this is my book and this is my logo or
Hmm.
my trade dress. And then you say, well, let's have the marketing team or the design team take a look at it too. And it might be that theirs is better or
Hmm.
it might be yours is better. But having it
Hmm.
seems, I see it in the brewing industry, like having people whose job at the actual brewery is to design their labels and their beer cans. You
Hmm.
see it on the shelf, you're like, that
Yeah,
one, that person has a designer in house because it looks clean, it looks the same, but like you can tell it's from that brewery.
hmm.
And then the ones that don't, and you can tell they're all over the place. And so there's this aspect of having an
Of
in-house people
course.
doing it is huge to me, in my opinion.
Hmm.
But
Absolutely. Completely agree.
so let's talk Hunt Kill Repeat quickly, but you know, not forever. Hunt
Sure.
Kill Repeat, written by you, Mark London, pencils by
Hmm.
Francesco Archidiacano. I can't say
Dianico. Yeah.
Archidiacano,
Hmm.
yes. And then inking by Mark Deering, colors by one of my favorite colors right now, Lee Lowridge, letters by
Hmm.
famously amazing letterer Russ
Ross
Wooten,
Wooden.
and a cover artist by Ryan Kincaid on the cover A or the main cover. I'm
Hmm.
going to quickly read the solicitation. I say quickly, but
Hmm.
I feel like everybody's solicitations on these things are getting longer and
Sure.
longer. I love it. I wish some publisher would just use. I think you had was it Kill Bill meets Clash of the Titans? I feel like that should just be the solicitation
Hmm.
and nothing else, and see if someone buys the book just as a test,
Hmm.
as a
Hmm.
sample out there. But
Hmm.
when Greek gods invade Earth, society is quickly forced to comply with their new rulers. However, one god, Artemis, rejects her brethren's ideology and has found solace in the love of a mortal. When she is called to Olympus to answer her portrayal, the gods strip away her godly powers and leave her for dead. Now, 10 years later, Artemis is on a quest for revenge to confront her father, Zeus, for taking away everything she's ever loved. So, I'll tell you right now, Mark, I was never and have never really been into like gods. I'll tell you right now, two things I've never seen in my life, which is I should be smacked across the face from. The first one is Kill Bill, and the second one I've never seen in my life is Clash of the Titans. So, so it's on my list to watch this year.
How
Is
dare you,
Kill Bill.
Justin?
So when I read,
Uh-huh.
so to me personally, when
Hmm.
I read this, obviously to me it's not going to strike a chord because I haven't seen either one of those movies, and I'm not a huge
Of
Greek
course.
gods or gods person. However, two things did it to me was I always now give Mad Cave a shot on comic books. The second thing is with what you've done with Battle Cats and those kind of books over there, Knights of the Golden
Hmm.
Sun, obviously was going to give Mark London a shot, and I'm glad. And that's one of those things that I've been lucky enough to cover the comic books industry is I give more shots to things
Hmm.
that maybe I wouldn't have in the first place. And I'm so glad about that because I don't
Hmm.
think it would have garnered my attention to read this book. And why I'm saying that is everybody should give it a chance because even if you're not into these things, because it's well written, it's well drawn, it's well colored, well lettered. So the book itself is a good book to read. And it might catch your attention like it did mine. Now I want to read the whole thing because it's not your typical God story, in my
Hmm.
opinion. It has this, and also freaking Artemis kicks ass. If you want to see a strong female role in this in a comic book or any sort of medium, Artemis is kicking ass in this
Hmm.
book. So, with all that said, what's your elevator pitch for
Hmm.
Hunt Kill Repeat? How do you explain it to someone?
Yeah, I mean, I think that also I do agree with you that sometimes, I mean, those intro to books, I mean, I get it
Yeah.
longer, but for me, it's just again, yeah, John Wick, I mean, meets Clash of the Titans. And but if you haven't seen Clash of the Titans, I hope that you have seen John Wick. Uh,
Yes.
it's a revenge story. It's a
Yeah.
revenge story, widescreen, bombastic. I mean, what a lot of heart that
Mhm.
really will question what happens when you lose what is more precious to you. And the way that I approach this book is like, yeah, the God aspect is kind of like the backdrop.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, it's a dysfunctional family that we all have a dysfunctional family that we love them
Yes.
dearly, and we make mistakes, and it's part of the human element. But also, as we were talking before the podcast,
Yeah.
that you're married and you have
Yeah.
kids. I'm also married. I have kids, and one of the things that I would that I consider most dear to me are my wife and my kids. And sometimes like somebody that do have a connection with, my best friend, I mean, what would it be like for me if that gets torn, if that
Mm-hmm.
gets yanked from my very soul? So that's part of what Artemis is going to be dealing with. And again, but she's going against her family because she was deprived of something that she wanted. And now this gods, and especially Zeus, I mean, they have a different philosophy of the way that humans should be doing things. So without spoiling too much, I think that that's Hunky repeating.
It's one of those things too. I love to explain to people whenever I try to. One of my favorite comic books of all time is The Walking Dead, and I think Robert Kirkman's writing in that book is absolutely astounding. And then when the TV show came out and people were watching the TV show, I was trying to explain to people like, "Oh, I don't like zombies." I'm like, "Well, you got to get past the idea of the zombies. It's hard to say that, but like there was so much. There's heart in it. There's the what would you do if this." Moments in it, and how would you protect the loved ones you would likely kill in a world like that to protect the people that you love, and so on and so forth. So it's more about the people in it than it is the zombies. And in this, I could see it's more about I love that story of how much guts it would take to say my family and I am gods, and I am just not going to live that life. I want to live as a human with this person. I want to have a baby. I want to do this, that, and I want to have a life. And to me, it's like if I was Mark, if you were a god and you were born a god, would you say, "Oh, forget that. I'm not going to do that anymore"? No, I would probably live the life of a god and say, "Screw this life of being on Earth." And so I give so much props to that. So it's more about the people and the story of overcoming obstacles and fighting against your family in a sense. Than it is that they're actual gods. So I think you need to have a plot and a setting and a place to put this story. And I think that's great because it's unique in my opinion. I haven't seen the thousands of comic books I have over here. I don't have very many that have gods in them like this. And it's a pretty cool story in that sense. How did this come to be? How did you get to the point where you're making this story? It seemed like it's potentially been brewing for a while.
It has, and I wanted to write a revenge story with a lot of heart for quite some time, and I think it's 2021, late middle of 2021, and I kind of pitched it to my publisher, Matt Cave's publisher, and which he happens to be my editor on most of the books, Chris Fernandez. And I kind of told him, listen, this is the pitch, this is the story. And for some reason, we got sidetracked, and then we started talking about gods and mythology and everything that we really liked about Greek gods. And I kind of just like blended the two together. And I guess that's when I spat out Hunt, Kill, Repeat.
Spat out, yeah. You crafted. But there's also this funny also, I forgot to add this in there, is this non-use of technology. The technology has a part in this, not to spoil a huge thing in it, but it also gave me this post-apocalyptic feel too, in the sense that there's this one shot towards the beginning of the book where you see like Times Square and there's a bunch of screens up there, but then you see down below it's like donkeys and people selling it. It looks like a farmer's market, and it gives that aspect of it's a weird, unique way of a post-apocalyptic world. There's always a big disease or natural disaster or something that creates these post-apocalyptic worlds. I don't know if I've ever read anything that a gods, more recently at least, I've read anything that gods basically created this post-apocalyptic world in a sense, and I like that too. I might actually get my wife to read it because of that. But the biggest thing to me, I guess, is you obviously wrote the book. You obviously work with Mad Cave. How did this creative team come together? Because this is an all-star team. Like, how did you get the inkers and the pencil? How did it also all get together?
That's also again, Chris Fernandez has a very keen eye for talent, and he was scouting a few guys, and then that's when he came up with Francesco. And when he showed me what Francesco's portfolio, it was like blown away. And I was like, dude, this is the guy that we definitely need for this series. And then when Francesco started doing some of the sketches, and his pencil was super strong, and we were like, okay, but we do need somebody as equally talented on the inking side of things that can actually highlight Francesco's work even more, if that's even possible.
Right.
And that was when Mark Irwin, our vice president, that he has been doing this for like 30 years and he knows everybody in the industry. And Chris Fernandez and him were talking, and he was like, "Oh, you know what? I'm going to talk to Mark Deering, which there's no better inker than him." So they pitched him, I mean, the idea, the job, and he was like, "Okay." He said yes. Luckily for us, again, Francesco's pencils, I mean, they were so heightened that we were like being happy with the result, and then we were like, okay, now we need just somebody as good at this guys. I mean, that can actually just like take it home with the colors. And that's when Chris reached out to Lee, and he was like, he was down with coloring the book. So I mean, I couldn't have been happier with the stellar team. And then Ross Wooden, he just came in, and we were like, "Hey, listen, would you want to let it this book?" And he was like, "Hell yeah!" And that's how the team came about.
It's a I was when I was reading it, I was like, oh, what, you know, as I get to like, because obviously when a book is promoted, mostly it's sadly to say that it's promoted as you and Francesco, and then everybody else just like falls to the wayside. But I'm always one of those ones where it's like, it's creative team. It's a team of people who create these books. It's not just the writer or not just the artist. And a lot of times people, and in a good way, lettering falls off because a letterer, in my opinion, should enhance the book without taking away or making it focus too much on it. And so like, there's definitely one of those things where in all likelihood, you probably shouldn't talk about the letterer, because if they did their job correctly, you don't really care. But if they didn't do their job correctly, it's like, who the hell lettered this book? But no, like it's one of those things. I liked it when I was looking it up. I'm like, oh my God. Oh, wow. Cool. Awesome. Like, wow, you got a really good team on this book. So I'm happy about it for sure. Russ has done so many things. I mean, obviously, I was mentioning Walking Dead before. He's done some work for them and Invincible and stuff like that. So, you know, if anybody hasn't heard of Russ Wooten, you really should hear of Russ Wooten. And then their cover, Ryan Kincaid's covers. Cover A is amazing.
Yeah. And I mean, and don't forget cover B, which is done by Marguerite Flauber, which is, she's also an amazing talent. And again, we couldn't have been luckier with the team that we assembled for this book, and I'm really happy with it. I'm really happy with it. I think that we really work hard on every single aspect. I mean,
it's funny
I just hope that it does well.
Cover A is this fit, nice Artemis, like about to kick some ass, and cover B is like 8 months pregnant. It's a great well, it's one of those things that like the people you only have 2 covers for issue 1, right? So these 2 covers, and it's great to see that, in a sense that if you are a person, like, you should collect both of them so you can see like the both sides of her. Pregnant and not pregnant. But let's see here.
Yeah, that's what we kind of like going for, and it depends which cover attracts to you more or speaks to you more.
And is it, so are you doing it's a 6 issues? Is that what this is? Or is it?
Yes, 6 issues, of course. I mean, for now it's 6 issues. The way that you basically just like, we have more story. But again, we're just gonna see the reception of the first arc, see we can continue. So yeah, it all depends on the fans and the popularity of the book. But yes, please buy the book. We want to continue making the book.
Well, it's funny because I like that idea nowadays. I feel like, you know how like when you have a pilot for a TV show nowadays, and like, okay, we'll give you 10 episodes and see how that does, and so on and so forth. I like the idea. I talked with Kevin Scott and Nick Brokenshire last week, or actually the episode drops on the day we're recording this, is about the mini series or maxi series. Those smaller series give me the opportunity, like if you like are unsure about a book, like if you're like unsure about Hunt, Kill, Repeat, like you can commit yourself for 5 or 6 issues, people. Like you can do that. Takes a little pressure off of like 300 and some odd issues that Spawn is, or whatever, or like 70 issues or 60 issues that Saga is, and all that stuff. Like you can get this story, and then it also gives you pressure. Like, okay, if less pressure, like if this works well and it sells amazing, do more. If it sells okay and it's like whatever, or you guys are tired of it and you want to move on to something different, then okay, you can do that. Like without having you can commit to these. And a lot of times, if you were to bring, this is obviously you doing this book, but if you were like, say, for example, Legacy of Violence with Cullen, like you bring them in for a few issues, and if it ends up working out great, awesome. But you can commit and they can know they have these issues to sell. No one, I mean, unlikely, I don't know, I can't speak for Mad Cave's business strategies, but like if you brought someone in for a 5-issue series and it didn't do well after 3, I'm not sure you're going to cancel the series after 3 issues. I think you probably finish the 5 issues, say thank you, and move on. Like that's one of those things that I like, is that like at least you're not on a cliffhanger. You're not like, oh god, that's only 3 issues of this 5-issue series out. There's just something to say about small series, in my opinion. Is what I'm trying to say.
Sure. No, and I completely get it, and that's one of the things of our industry that again, it's there's so much content out there, and sometimes so many books, so yeah, it gets hard for the consumer or the fans to be like, okay, what is it that I'm going to pick up this month? And sure, you have to try to put the quality, back it up, that it has strong word of mouth. But unfortunately, the reality, Justin, again, also in your business, you know that you try to put X, Y, and Z number of products, and none of them stick. And it's not because they were not solid products. They were not great products. It's just that it's one of those phenoms of the industry that, again, it didn't have the right exposure, it didn't click right. Again, not because the book was not solid. So, yeah, you just like, again, rinse and repeat.
Yes, hunt, kill, and then repeat. No, I also forgot to mention, if you go to
I knew that you were going to say that.
Hi, if you go to madcavestudios.com, you can also get the Hunt, Kill, Repeat #1 Mad Cave exclusive variant too by Salvador LaRocha. Like that's beautiful too. That actually has Zeus on it as well. That's what one of 100, 1 in 100, or 100 of them. Is that what it is?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, so those are pretty cool too, out there as well. And so, you can get a digital edition too, and it's just a beautiful cover. I like that cover as well. So there technically is three issues, 3 covers, but 2 will hit your local comic book shop. I didn't actually put down my notes here. It is March 1st that this drops, right? Is that still the date? March 1st?
Yes. I think it's March 3rd. Let me see.
March shops. I don't know. I usually write it down. March 1st. It should be March 1st, right? March 3rd is a Friday. March 1st.
March 1st. You're absolutely right. Yes. Yes,
and so
March 1st.
In your local comic book shop. So there is a possibility. I know I don't know exactly how some of these comic book shops work, but if you did want it, let them know. Like your local comic book shop know, because there's ways for them to get it if they haven't gotten it in yet, as well. And will this, when this 6 issues are up, will you put it into a trade paperback as well, or are you just going to keep it as single issues?
That's the plan. I think that again, the amount of work is tremendous. I mean, it would be a disservice if we wouldn't be able to collect, the issues. But again, that's standard practice at Mad Cave. We try to always put a trade paperback when the issues are done. So yes, you will hopefully see it in trade paperback.
And there's some people who trade weight, and I think that's one of those things that I think there is something to be said about that, and there isn't. And I tell you that there's issues nowadays where I'm like, oh, I can't wait to read the next issue, and then there's ones where I read issue 1 and wait till issue 5 comes out and read the rest of them. But you can't see, you're only seeing a small portion on the screen right here, Mark, of the comic books that are in this room. I am a big single issue fan. I'm a single issue fan, a floppy fan. I have a few, is probably like 5 trades behind me on that shelf. But in general, those are purchased because I have a book club at my local comic book shop that you purchase the book and read it every month. And that's main reason why I have them. But I like single issues. And actually, more recently, I realized that I actually like reading them digitally a lot more. I don't know if it's because I can zoom in. If I don't know. It's weird. I read that Nightwalker's comic book I mentioned physically last night, but there's something about reading it digitally that really, I don't know, brings it in there. So if you buy it on madcavestudios.com, I believe you can get a digital copy as well, right? That exclusive one, I believe you can get a digital copy as well as what it says. You probably don't even know. I'm kidding. Yeah. So, and you have like free first issues on there too, don't you? For a few things like Battle Cats and things like that too. So if you're not interested, not sure, check out those. Those are really cool to see. Obviously, there's a bunch of good ones on here. I was trying to figure out what I had. The problem is that my local comic book shop. I'm gonna give Paul a little trash here. Tends to not listen to me sometimes, and I get behind on some of the issues. But luckily, there's a digital copies that I can read and get on top of them. So yeah, Hunt Kill Repeat #1 is out March 1st from Mark here at Mad Cave Studios, and a bunch of other stuff. I have Legacy of Violence right behind me. I read Dahlia in the Dark. That's an amazing book. Look out for Exorcists Never Die. That's coming out in April, I believe. Is that right?
April, correct? Yes.
Yeah. And then other stuff like, so there's just a bunch of stuff you can check it out. Nottingham, Tales from Nottingham just came out too recently. I think last week before, whatever it was. But there's also other stuff from Nottingham on there too as well. Are you having any free comic book day books this year or no?
We are just one, but we are doing it. We're shifting our focus to paper cuts, which is our middle grade line.
Yeah,
and we're doing a Smurfs book. We're doing a Smurfs kind of like virtually enhanced issue, which is going to be super cool. That you download an app and you basically just see Smurfette. I mean, just coming to life. So cool. So for us, I mean, this year is just going to be the paper cut stuff.
Cool. That's awesome. I mean, it's funny is that this book, this is the advanced reader copy that my local comic book shop, Paul, actually gave to me because he knew I liked the book so much. So I have to give it back to him because I'm like, well, did you read it? He goes, no. No, you just
oh my God, Paul, what the hell?
We got to read this, man. He goes, what the hell? But he knew I wanted it, so he gave me the advanced reader copy of it too, which is pretty cool. Would this consider what you would call an ash can at your shop, your studio? Like, is the advanced reader copy? Is that
probably yeah? But also the thing about but you know what? Yes, but you know what? Actually, the advanced reader copy, which is something that we didn't address, but thank you. It's the first issue is actually going to be a double-sized issue. Okay. So you guys are going to get more bang for your buck. So that issue that you just read, Justin, that's only half of the story that you're going to get in issue 1. So yeah,
I have the PDF.
It's a double-sized issue. Yeah. I bet you do have the PDF and you're going to have the whole thing. Yeah. So you're in the know. So cool.
That's cool. So it technically is an advanced reader, but inside like a between an advanced reading copy and a mash can, in the sense that it has more story than you would get in an ash can, but not as much as the full story.
Correct.
So that's cool. Yes, cool. But yeah, so Mad Cave is, like I said, you guys are killing it. I there's nothing really that I've not liked about what's going on, which is really cool. And I think that one of the studios out there that can continue growing. And you said you're going to be doing some licensing stuff too. You mentioned Smurfs, but is there something other stuff on the horizon? You don't have to like give away anything, but I'm just saying, is there more stuff on the horizon on the licensing side?
I really want to tell you, but I can't tell you right now. But I just know that you're going to be super excited. You're going to see because again, yes,
there's stuff coming, but you can't say what they are.
Yes, unfortunately, because I don't think that the ink is dried enough yet on the contract, and we're kind of just like doing a few things. But again, I think that when it is, I'm going to reach out to you personally. I'm going to let you know what it is. But yes, some very cool licenses coming in our way, and that we're super excited. But as you clearly mentioned, I think that the vision and everything that we're doing is just to highlight. And if you kind of like everything that we've showcased up to this point or recently, I think that you guys are going to be very, very happy with what its store.
That's awesome.
Mad Cave and Paper Cuts and Maverick is going to bring. So
that's so amazing. Hard. I'm so excited. So you guys, Mad Cave Studios is at Mad Cave Studios on social media, Instagram, Twitter. Yes. You're on there, Mark London, MCS?
MCS.
Yes.
Correct.
On those things.
Mark London, MCS.
Check those out, madcavestudios.com. Hunt, Kill, Repeat, March 1st. And then, like I said, I mentioned Exorcist Never Die. That's coming on the horizon too in April. And then other stuff that's out there too. So check that out on Mad Cave Studios website. It's well laid out for you there. You don't have to worry about that. And also, I forgot to mention Don't Spit in the Wind. Don't Spit in the Wind is also coming out soon.
March 2.
That's amazing book as well by Stefano. He is an unbelievable artist. We were going to do a podcast with him, and then he realized that no, it's probably not a good idea because his English is not the greatest. So we did a over the email interview thing that's up on our site now about Don't Spit in the Wind. So check that out, people, if you want to learn a little bit more about Stefano and his comics story, I guess. But yeah, Mark, I really appreciate you coming on and chatting with us this morning. Sunny Florida, cold Maine side of things. But so yeah.
No, thank you, Justin.
Anything else you want to throw in
I'm
there?
really appreciative of the fact that you had. Yeah, I mean, shout out to you for everything that you do. I mean, supporting us, also the little guys on the indie side of things. Again, the only way that we do get the exposure is because, again, you give us the time of day. I love your show, so thank you so much. It was a really an honor to be here, chat with you comics, Hunky Repeat, everything Mad Cave, and hopefully we'll be able to do this again soon in the future.
We will. We'll have you back on. Maybe a semi-regular thing with Mark London. We'll make it a special banner on everything and do everything. No, I'm just kidding. We'll do some stuff in the future for sure. When we learn some more stuff about Mad Cave and things that are coming out, because you guys aren't slowing. It doesn't look like you're slowing down at all. It looks like you're speeding up. So let's do this. Let's do this again.
That's the plan. Yes, sir.
Thanks, man.
Take care, Justin. Thank you so much.